Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today, our topic of discussion is going to be on dopamine. What is dopamine? What role does dopamine play in our body? What happens if you have too much or too little dopamine? How to adjust your dopamine levels, and when it's appropriate to see your doctor. So let's get started. Dopamine is a chemical messenger, which is the neurotransmitter. It works in our brains. It helps nerve cells send messages to each other. It's produced by cells deep in the brain and acts on cells in other parts of the brain. So, what is the role of dopamine, you may ask? Dopamine acts on areas of the brain to give you feelings of pleasure, satisfaction, and motivation. It also has a role to play in controlling memory, mood, sleep, learning, concentration, movement, and a slew of other body functions. For example, when you feel good, when you achieve something or do something that's fun, it's because you have an increase of dopamine in your brain. Sometimes you might even start wanting to feel more of this dopamine reward, which is how dopamine is involved in addiction. The good feeling that dopamine gives you after a pleasant experience, including eating nice food, having sex, winning a game, and earning money, can also happen after drinking alcohol and using illegal drugs. In addition, you continue to drink or use drugs to get the feelings again. So you may ask, what happens when you have too much dopamine or too little dopamine? Having too much or too little dopamine in some parts of the brain are linked to some mental illnesses, including depression, schizophrenia, and psychoses. Having too much dopamine is linked to being aggressive and having trouble controlling your impulses. Dopamine imbalances are also related to ADHD and addiction. Having low levels of dopamine can make you less motivated and excited about things. Now, in Parkinson's disease, there is not enough dopamine in the areas of the brain that's important for movement. This leads to problems with muscle stiffness and movements such as walking. The symptoms of a dopamine imbalance depend on what is causing the problem. They include physical symptoms such as muscle cramps, spasms, stiffness, digestion problems such as constipation, reflux, pneumonia, trouble sleeping, moving, or speaking more slowly than usual. They can also include mental or psychological symptoms such as feeling tired and unmotivated, or sad, or lacking hope, having low libido, sex drive, hallucinations, experiencing something that's not real. So someone asked me the question, how can I adjust my dopamine levels? Adjusting dopamine levels is complicated. It involves in many different roles in the brain. Your doctor won't measure your dopamine levels directly, and there is no simple test to measure it. Your symptoms will be the clues that tell your doctor if you have too much or not enough dopamine. Your doctor will then prescribe medicines to adjust your dopamine levels. He will adjust it based on your symptoms and make adjustments based on how your body responds and how you feel. Can diet and exercise affect your dopamine levels? Yes, including foods rich in tyrosine, which is the protein that's needed to make dopamine. These include nuts, seeds, dairy, and meat. Healthy activities that make you feel good will also raise dopamine. These include exercise, meditation, and getting enough sleep. The idea of a dopamine detox has become popular recently. It is when you avoid pleasure triggers such as junk food or social media for a period of time. The idea is to reset your brain and to make you enjoy healthy pleasures and not be tempted by addictive behaviors. You can't really detox from dopamine because it's always in your brain. But the idea of being aware of your choices and habits can still help you to live the way you really want to. So let's look at the medicines that can affect dopamine. If you have mental illness, such as depression or schizophrenia, your doctor may prescribe medicines to adjust your dopamine level. Now, I've worked in the mental health field for over 20 years and has seen the results of medicines that can affect dopamine. These include antidepressants, mood stabilizers, and other types of treatments, maybe a combination of some. If you're taking a specific type of antidepressant called a non-selective MAO inhibitor, you should be careful not to eat foods with too much tyramine, which occurs from the partial breakdown of tyrosine. These foods and some medicines can react and cause very high blood pressure. This medicine is not commonly used today, and your doctor will advise you on how to adjust your diet if they prescribe this medicine for you. So when should I see my doctor? If you have noticed movement changes or muscle stiffness and are worried about Parkinson's disease, you should see your doctor to discuss your concerns. They will examine you and refer you to the specialist in this area. Now, if you're experiencing symptoms of mental illness, such as feeling low, lacking interest in life, or having hallucinations, your doctor can help get a diagnosis so you can get the right treatment. In conclusion, dopamine is a chemical messenger that is naturally released from nerve cells in your brain. It acts on cells in different parts of your brain to produce a wide range of effects. One of its functions is to create a good feeling after you do something that's enjoyable. This makes you want to do it again and again. And this is why dopamine plays a role in addiction. Dopamine is also one of the ways your brain controls movements. Low levels of dopamine in certain areas of the brain causes Parkinson's disease. Dopamine imbalance also happens in mental illness, such as depression and schizophrenia. You may need medicine to help treat the symptoms of too much or too little dopamine. Please consult with your primary care physician if you are feeling any highs or lows of dopamine, and then they will be able to refer you out to the proper specialist in order to get the help you need. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. God bless.